Little cascade of tradable symbols, the levels you need to triage the market vitals. It's our stream. Marketvitals.io is our community. HFR from the floor. Miss trade suspended. Matt Davio. It's a Wednesday hump day, Matt, and everybody's waiting.
Good day. Good rainy day to get some extra sleep.
Oh, dude, how about it?
There's no point in waiting around. I mean, you just come in.
You know, Matt, what I want you to do is let me share, if I could.
You can.
Morning still here, Mark. Morning still here.
Mid-morning. Happy
mid-morning.
Yeah.
Mid-morning.
No rush today. That's why we're here.
No.
We start early, we end early.
All right, let me share this right off the bat, because I thought this was awesome. Look at that. Look at that guy. Actor Tom Hardy secretly enters and wins a jiu-jitsu competition. Like, let me just tell you something. I don't care where the jiu-jitsu competition was. The guy enters it, hasn't shaved in months. Obviously, he's been training hard, and wins gold in a jiu-jitsu competition. I thought it was fantastic. I'm going to stay on the thread because, Matt, I don't know what the odds are on this. Jake Paul is going to fight Anderson Silva. Now, it's going to be a boxing only, all right, because the Spider-Man would take him down, tie him in a knot, choke him out in about a minute and a half if he could take him to the ground, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me, which was like my original love for the UFC was like, yeah, the guy could beat him up, but, God help him if he gets him on the ground, he's going to destroy him. And, the wrestler, the jiu-jitsu guy, the boxer, like who's going to win in that ultimate battle inside that cage. This is boxing only, but I got to tell you, man, I think Jake Paul has giant couillons for getting in the ring with Spider Silva. I don't know. And Matt, the reason why I really want to bring it up is I saw a thread of how hard our friend Mark Zuckerberg is training in mixed martial arts, and the footage that they had, I was like, wow, it's legit. Like he's really knows what he's doing, because he's going to need it on the street if the metaverse fails.
But again, the mob wins. Even if you are Anderson Silva, the mob still will get the one dude. So you can train all you want. Your ego will feed that ego, Mark, but still not going to help you on the streets, like you said.
I mean, a guy like him now, like, right, he's obviously doing it, I would think, for that reason. Like, I could be at a nice a nice restaurant drinking a nice Cabernet, and somebody's going to come up and accost me, and I got to at least be able to wrestle my way out of it.
Right.
Or is it that he's just going to spend the rest of his life in the metaverse and never go outside, and that's his only exit? I don't know. Let me ask you this, Matt. Let's look at Facebook and see if there's, because we're looking at long term again today, as we wait on the Fed. But bring up Facebook first and see if all of his fighting skills is going to help the bottom line. As we all heard, he's lost 70 billion in net worth. Anyway.
Yeah, and by the way, that is since he changed the symbol from Facebook to META. He's gone from 384 in the fall just 1 year ago down here today 46. And it's I don't know. This chart does not look good. I don't know if it's found the bottom down here in the 140 area. 143.90 looks to be like the low. Everything's slow.
Lee wants to know if we should start a GoFundMe page.
We should definitely start it. Well, like so, I saw somebody post, right? Zuckerberg lost 70 billion, and the average American still will bring home 40,000 this year.
Yeah, and you look at that too. The global median income, I did not know this. Global median income is $6.70 a day. A little bit less than that 70 billion you're talking about.
Right.
Unreal.
I mean, this profile is, interesting. The COVID low is basically here. So, this is the first tech name to do this. And we've talked about Google and Apple are far, far from, their lows. Well, Google's been, but Google, again, if this thing loses 100 here, just because it's 100, right? It's the magic 100 level.
Exactly. Round number bingo. Here we go.
Yeah, it's gonna, and again, there's nothing. It's like literally hanging on a thread, a frayed thread right now. All we need is some bad news. And again, who knows what that news? It could be next. It could be the next earnings, right? So, and this again, 152. This is already off 33% from the highs, but nowhere near the destruction that Facebook had or Twitter. And we haven't looked at Twitter in a while. The board approved the deal, and now they're still battling in court.
Yeah, I forget. There's a date coming up here, either late August, early October, on that should. Yeah, we should glean some clarity from.
But again, this thing is just dragging down here, just dragging, and it. I mean, the thing is, if he does buy it, he's paying too much, so he doesn't want to buy it because he knows there's robots running the algos there so heavily. So if he actually cleaned it up back to what it was when it came out in 2006-7, it'd be a good product, and you could actually, say and post articles and not get banned like I've been banned. Like, it's ridiculous. And the articles, like, they weren't my articles. I was retweeting Alex Berenson, and he's back on Twitter, yet he was canceled. Like, all I was doing is retweeting his articles. So just by the transitive property, I should be back, but they have no policies in place for these things. So,
hey, Lee, there's the GoFundMe page to take care of the legal expenses for mistrade.
Right.
Back on Twitter.
It's ridiculous. So anyways, I don't have nice things to say about the platform, and it's anyways. And then, Microsoft and Apple, we've already talked about, but let's look at them from a long-term perspective along this thread, right? As the elites continue to get wiped out. And I think there's a ton of room to sell short Apple, Google, and Microsoft. So you need to sell all of them, because if Meta is down there at the low, why won't these things see their lows? They'll be behind it, but they're gonna go. There's no doubt in my mind that they've got downside work, and until that happens, this market is nowhere near the bottom. Now, it could happen. It could happen in a matter of days. Like, it literally could, and this is the thing that people don't understand. But when the bottom falls out, look at Apple. It's basically at all-time highs at 157, up 14 cents again today. Like, 180s was the all-time high, 53. And the products, I don't think nobody rushed to the stores. I have a 13 and I hadn't bought one since a 10. And I don't see myself even, I don't care. Like, there's nothing in the 14 that I need. And then I don't need nobody's buying computers, because my Apple computers here have been lasting for 7-8 years. They work fine.
Occasionally fine. All right, Matt. Obviously everybody's waiting on the Fed. And I saw an interesting thread on the Fed doesn't even do anything other than watch the 2-year and then just try to track the 2-year. For sure, they're way behind the curve on the 2-year, giving some thought in my mind that they'd actually do a full percent today. They need to catch up to the 2-year.
Well, listen, if they, this is what I've said. If they did 1.5 to 2, we would have a huge rally. They're going to do 75. Everybody's expecting 75, and then they'll do 75 again in November, when the next one is. The 2-year, by the way, is solidly over 4 now.
Well, let bring that up. I know we can't go real long term because that's just
this product. And again, I just don't know what it is on TradingView. If I had my Bloomberg terminal here, it'd be one thing. But this is just
yields. To be clear,
this is yield. This is a future that you can trade, buy, sell. And this started trading in August of last summer. If you bought it the day it opened, I would just think about this: 15 cents, and now it's 4.
Wow.
Like, that's astounding. Like, people, like, there was zero, it was negative interest rates when when this came out. Like, this is it's fascinating to me. And I don't know how I've never traded these, so I don't even know, like,
I don't know what the volume,
but if you bought one contract, you bought one contract there at 15 cents, what is this worth? That's a good math problem for the production house Lee, figure that out.
Lee,
Because I don't know.
go to the CME website and figure out how much money we're up that in Ken and Barbie doll money.
Right. But it's just, but that should be like, that's in 1 year, Bob. That's August of 21 to now.
All right, so when you see that, and I saw somebody shared the Canadian finance minister saying Canadians are worried about inflation, and if you're going to start a business or buy a home, know that interest rates are low and they're going to stay very low for a very long time. Whoops, as the record scratches.
Well,
I mean, this one's even more shocking.
Well, then I started thinking, okay, so let's look at where the 30-year is. It's over 6 today. It's, we've been up right around 6.1, and this bottomed, in the Feb time period of like 2.5. Let's just call it 2.5. And if you look at the long term, let's go back 50 years in the 30-year mortgage world, and let's take a little trip. You and I talked about it. Like, this is where you and I were buying houses in late 80s, early 90s. The first
was 9.5 owner financed. What a great gig that was too.
Right.
By the way.
Right. Yeah.
Why would you?
Well, and that does offer, again, you get to that and people will do that type of thing again. If they know you and why not make 10% a year? I'm going to double my money every 4 years. It's fantastic. But Volcker took us all the way to 18.7. This is where we should be because the inflation is higher than this was now. But guess what? They're taking out again, housing, education, healthcare, food, and energy. Those 5 things,
what are they actually tracking?
Not butter, because that's up
butter. Any more trading in butter? That's tomorrow. Butter.
No, but the point is,
Thursdays.
I mean, again, we've got a 50-year chart here. Kind of this is where this thing opened, right around 7. That's kind of normalization. 7 has always been kind of, in my mind, 7.5. That's like what you should expect to pay for a mortgage, especially if you get the mortgage reduction, right? You get the tax thing.
Right.
So the tax thing never, like the last few years, it's stupid. Like, who cares? You're paying 0 interest. Why own a house? Like, seriously, why carry all that debt? And this, like, if you explain it to people that way, like, it makes no sense because unless you're paying cash for a house, it never makes sense. You can never make money owning a house, owning it over 30 years at any interest rate. So don't even come at me because it's not an investment. You've been lucky if you live on the West Coast. You've been lucky if you live in these places.
I mean, there you go. So that's for sure the nuance of the argument. It depends on where you owned.
Yeah, well, if you owned in Detroit in the 50s,
and I agree with you. I agree with you that at 6% now, all of a sudden that mortgage write-off starts to mean something.
Yeah,
where at 2%, much different side of the argument.
But again, this is not this move. Like you and I were talking about this also. So you think about what happened. This was the period, the bubble right here, where rates were super low at 5, and they were doing arms and all that, and then they spiked it and crashed it down there in 08-09 when we were up right around 7. So now we're coming back to that 7 level that kind of broke us from, and we were only at 5. I mean, we only got down to the low 5s in the 30-year then. So this time we went down to 2s, like low 2s. And so low 2s to here is a 3x. Let's just call it 2.5, 3x. This was only 40%. This was only a 40% increase in rates here from 5s to almost 7. It wasn't even 40%, like 30.
And it destroyed the market.
So what do you think this is going to do? But again, we've never been here. We've never, in the history of FOMC, blah, 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 we've never been pinned into a corner like this. They can't win, I don't think. It's not going to end well. But in the meantime, and then we talk about this theme of bonds, and let's look at the long-term chart on the T-bond, the ZB. And again, we're red again today into the futures, into the FOMC in an hour. Nothing really happening. I mean, it's just down again 3 cents, not a new low. The low was right around 129 yesterday. But the long-term chart, Bob, says we're going to 113. And again, this is going back 23, 24 years. So that spike that we saw for, the COVID, that was the tippy top, and we've just been getting crumbled. And now and then I was asking you, where were we in 08, 09 when all this played out? Well, we were back here, right here around 115. We spiked on, in December of 08, we spiked them all the way up to 140, but then they came all the way back down into the teens. So that would see, again, the chart, there's a lot of rhythm here. There's a lot of rhyme, and I could see us continuing. Again, if the Fed's not going to do their job, the bonds are going to continue to get throttled. Money's going
again, too. I mean, the market takes care of it, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
no, but what this means is capital is exiting U.S. interests, right? And it's going somewhere else. It's still coming here more than anywhere else, but at some point there's going to be this shift. Especially if this continues to be too expensive, right? They're going to continue to sell these bonds. And at the same time, you've got the dollar hitting another new high today, or at least matching the high that we just saw a couple weeks ago. So again, every time we keep saying this, buy the dollar every time it gives you a discount, because it's going to 120. And I don't still, even though I think ultimately it collapses, we're not there yet. We're not at that time when everything is going to crumble, because the U.S. is still the only place for money to kind of find some safety. So interest rates going higher is good for the dollar, continues to be good for the dollar, and we're making new highs again here. And again, hard pullback to 107.50, and now we're back up to 110.84. So it is a new high, just barely a new high, but bullish. Nothing
right, exactly. Let me share something here too on that same thread, but this is the U.S. Chinese yuan. You seeing that? Am I on the right page?
Yeah, we are. Yes. Yep.
Okay. And this is a monthly. Two things struck me as interesting. The way down from 2006 to 2010 looked fairly mechanical and central bank driven. No, I mean that is not typical market action. But now this thing, the dollar screamed against the yuan, and there was all the saber rattling in the trade stuff, back here for sure, El Trabadente in 16, and then here, 18, 19, trade sanctions, trade war, like you're manipulating the currency, yada, 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 and we're getting right back to those levels. So multiple moving parts on the geopolitics here, and do not discount how important that exchange rate manipulation is. That chart is shocking to me.
Yeah.
As far as how big those markets are, those two currencies, that type of move is incredible.
Well, and then I'm going to throw out something else for people to think about, and I'm obviously been long-term bearish, but I think after this Fed meeting, we could see another rally in the bit turd, because we held here again, did not even get close really to 17. For me, it's got to close under 17,000. However you determine a close on Bitcoin, but get under there solidly, and then we're going to go to 10.8, right? But we're still not there. I could see one more sucker bounce, and I could see one more sucker bounce coming for all the call boys, the call option players that are now chomping at the bit. Post this Fed, I can see another rally, 7, 5, 7, 10, 12%, whatever.
Well, again, Matt, too, I mean, there's been no bad news really, other than the inflation numbers, but there's been no bad news on housing defaults, credit card defaults. They're trending the wrong way for sure. I mean, I just looked at the Canadian mortgage default rate. It's non-existent right now. Yeah. So we, maybe there's a kick save here.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. I could, if you want to buy some options, just limit your risk. I think now's a good time to buy Bitcoin right now before the Fed. You got an hour to go. And I think, again, your risk is whatever you pay for whatever strike you're paying on the options. That's your job to figure out what you want to buy. But I think we could trade again to possibly 22 to 24, just because that's the thick end and an outside chance of even getting up here to, 28, right? So I would personally buy in the money options, and set my risk below 17,000. So, and it's right now at 19.2. So you're talking about a 10% risk basically on that type of position, on total risk, right? So again, whatever you're going to pay for the option, that's your ultimate risk. But I think this is probably a good time to give it a fly, because I just think it's been so negative. And why not? Why not? It's just going to be just right at 7.5. And if they do more, for sure, it will fly. So if, like, for example, if we get a 1.5 or 2 today, we'd have a huge equity rally. But we're not going to see that. So I don't know how the market will react to 0.75. I don't have any big bets based on.
You hearing that?
No.
Woodpecker on the house. Well, stop that. Big one too. All right, man. Let me share this as our theme is long term. NASDAQ monthly.
Wow. Still bullish.
And again, it just blows me away. A market since the bottom in 2008 has not put a negative slope. I talked to you about this yesterday. We have not put a negative slope on the standard deviation modeling in 14 years. 14 years. I mean, the index works that way in general, right? Because you're taking the shitty names out and putting the good names in.
Yeah, but it's also now FANG, it's been those 5 names for that entire time. So,
but I mean, I think we brought up Apple last week to show.
Well, we just went through them all.
Right,
today.
I know. And so here's my point: we've had no bad news, really, like on layoffs, defaults, people losing their businesses, yada yada yada. We've had none of that. We've had inflation, and that hasn't turned into pain yet, at a grand scale. And when it does, and if it does, and this is a monthly again, we close this month below 11,376, man, you're going to really start to affect the bands. And then I'm just telling you, never fight the slope of standard deviation modeling. I don't care what time frame you're on. When you're fighting the slope, you're fighting City Hall. And it's a developing story, Matt, and we shall see how things develop.
What does the SPOOs look like? That long.
That same thing. Let me share that. SPOOs, same thing. Neither one of us taken out even the monthly average.
Yeah.
Same positive slope for 13 years. Russell actually the weakest of them all, but again, not able to change the slope of that standard deviation modeling. So, and
basically at the highs that we were at before 2020.
Yeah. So. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. What else? Anything? Great show last night. Great show. Matt and I went and saw Wilco, and when was Wilco, like, when would you say they were at their peak? 90s? In the
mid-90s? Mid-90s, yeah.
Mid-90s. So I had 2 kids in diapers and was not paying attention.
I was paying attention, but I was a little behind you. So,
but man, the range of music in that show blew me away.
Yeah.
From, you could take a snapshot and say it was a heavy metal concert. You could take a snapshot and say it was a country concert. You could take a snapshot and say it was a folk concert.
Honky tonk country.
Right, exactly. You could take a snapshot and say it was a pop show.
Pop show, yeah.
Unbelievable range. The drummer was freaking ridiculous. The guitar, 3 guitarists just ripping. 4 guitarists. Then they brought out some old guy, might have been a Grateful Dead guy. I mean, I think he was a keyboard player for the Grateful Dead, because
I think you're right.
The last encore was a Grateful Dead tune that was just, they shredded. Shredded.
We should have. I wish I would remember the guy. Well, I don't think I recorded that piece where they said his name, but Lee probably would know. Like Lee. He looks like Jim from Back to the Future, whatever the actor's name is. From Jim, from
Christopher
Taxi.
Lloyd.
Yeah,
white hair.
He looks like Christopher Lloyd with that crazy white hair. He looked like the crazy scientist, like he did.
I mean,
it was not Bruce Hornsby. We know.
From jamming, like from a jam band, to, like I said, just killer, like country ballad. Like, are you kidding me? To acid rock. The rest of them are all dead, sir. They're all dead, sir. Not Delmore Berry. Delmore got out. Delmore died too. Died in Vietnam, didn't even know it. The orange got him. All right, Matt. What else? Anything else? Let's take a look at Live Nation since we went and supported Live Nation. Is Live Nation publicly traded? For sure they are, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see what the future of concert going is, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know the symbol, but
Yeah. Nobody knows. There it is. LYV. LYV. New York Stock Exchange. There you. Thanks, Lee. You're behind. LYV. Matt's going to share. LYV. Live Nation. Oof.
Here we go.
Oof. For me, Matt, danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, and again, this is an hourly chart, so this is going back a solid year and change. Again,
I mean, think of all the things that get squeezed in your budget, and concert
and
going has to be one.
These concert tickets of these corporate events aren't cheap either. They're not light things, but yeah, this again, just getting on that hourly, just getting into the value zone, which would project much lower. And the low during COVID obviously was 21 when the world was coming to an end. But now that COVID's over, we're fully open, or are we? You got to wear masks still in hospitals and strange places. Who knows? 84 and point of control back here at 44. I don't see why it can't trade there. Again, no bad news, no jobs lost yet, blah, blah, blah. No defaults, but at some point, this is definitely not an upside chart to me. It has been bullish, but if you are not and have not been involved, when this thing breaks 75, it's going to go down to 45. So,
we were wondering too, as a business. And I always thought this too, like like baseball stadiums, when your team sucks and you're bringing in, 8,000 instead of 40, why don't they just give all the tickets away and make it on beer and concessions?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It doesn't make sense because, again, $20 for a beer and we'll let them in for free because they're going to at least buy 3 beers. Like I did.
Let them in. Just let them in. First row last night for Wilco, and my ear was. I told you. I think my ear got assaulted. Like we should have just went right to the police station. I could have filed a report because we were on the right side, and this ear was just getting blasted.
Yeah, that's my bad ear, so I couldn't really hear. It was very.
That's why I got the earpiece in the left ear. It still has some viability left.
So,
all right, Matt, what else?
So hey, let's talk a little geopolitics. Putin's threatening to bomb all of Western Europe. He's got like 35 locations in the UK that he's ready to nuke. It's not going to happen, but I mean, what does this mean? What does this mean for, now the news is all those territories that wanted to be, that were part of Ukraine, they've already said, hey, we want to be with Russia.
Well,
so,
I mean, if you can.
So now Russia's saying, well, if you touch our territory, now we're really, this hasn't even been war. Now we're going to go to war. I mean, is it really going to happen? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I'll
tell you what.
But I'm curious. How do you interpret?
I'll tell you. And anybody that tells you that they know more than somebody that's living there is full of shit. And if you haven't watched the 2014 Oliver Stone documentary on it, about 2014, that uprising, the documentary does a great job of raising. You're way more full of questions after watching it than he gives you answers. And if you don't, we've said this before. I'm sorry, we don't go to fucking ever step foot in Iraq if there wasn't oil. There's no chance it's all about money. It's always about money. Money, resources, the power to control them. That's it. So,
and by the way, Live Nation is down 3% from today, and that's because Jeff Tweedy played for 4 hours and they still didn't sell enough beers, I guess. So
they did play a long time, dude.
I mean, it was 2 hours and 45 minutes. What a show!
It was fantastic. Fantastic.
And he
Again,
was
I don't
having-
know why they
and he was
killed him.
having fun. That was the great thing. Like I said to you about an hour in, I'm like, this guy's like I haven't seen him in a long time, but I don't remember it being strictly business. And he was like, he didn't say a word. And then like the last 2 hours of the show, he was hilarious. Like he was.
Dude, how about it? His thread was like halfway through the show. He's like, I haven't said much, and this is a time where a polished performer would say, "We're just getting started." He goes, "But believe me, we're more than halfway done."
We have it all scheduled out.
That was great. And then he just kept saying it. We're all right. We're just getting started here all the way into the.
He was good. Yeah, and so I'm just curious. And then one thing we could look at today with,
Well, here, bring up the oil chart.
No, I want to bring up the defense stocks on this news, and Lockheed, LMT up here.
Yeah, saber rattling. They love it.
Huge rally, but this is again. I think you can be a seller of this today. Like that news to me is too loud. If somebody's going to lob a nuke, they're not going to tell you. They're just going to do it, right? So when I see the Daily Star covering, the fear and loathing, I'm like, oh God, just stop. Like it's noise. I'm just telling you how I interpret it. They're not going to tell you what they're going to do. It's just another
saber rattling, and can you trust the vote? In the Oliver Stone documentary, it certainly looked like the vote in Crimea was legit and over 90% in favor of rejoining Russia and leaving Ukraine.
Right.
We always talk about democracy, self-determination until it doesn't fit our narrative. And then it's like,
right.
Well, fuck that. They don't get to vote for that. We know better for them.
Right.
I don't know. I got more questions than answers.
But Northrop NOC is hitting new highs here on this news. So, this is telling me that the market thinks that war is not going away, though. But I'm just talking short term. I'm talking one day, right? This news, I don't think is worthwhile to, get behind on a new bullish momentum. But I think you can fade it. I think it's an overbought news, and that's why I bring it up. I think this is, if I'm on a trading desk, sell all you can for the next week. I think this will be a good trade just for the next week. And again, if you hit it this morning with that in mind, it's already off $6 or $12. It hit 5.15 right on the open. So that would have been the time on this trade, but it's still inflated. Maybe it gets another bounce and tries to test that high. If you missed it already, but it's again, I still think it'll come back into kind of balance in here.
And fractal way out on that. Give us a long-term look at war.
I was showing you it was breaking out. It was an all-time high on Northrop.
Yeah, but that's still only back to 2020. Give me something. Give me something to look at on warring.
It's back to all-time high. It's all-time highs, Bob.
All right, now there's a look.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, Matt, amazing flatline for 20 years.
Yeah, until Obama got in there.
Even into 2012, 13.
No, yeah, but this is no. This is Obama right here. 40. That's when he took over. It was there, just dragging on the bottom. Since the warring machine came in with Obama, boom. His third term is all about war. Think about it. His third term right now has been all about war. Obama's third term with the puppet.
Yes, the puppet master. All right.
And we had 4 years with no wars, and that's this chop here. Like we were trying, when Trump was in there was no wars anywhere in the world.
Not good for business.
There was none. Wasn't good for business. This thing was ready to roll over. It was ready to roll over. It's interesting. So,
Mark, you have Obama over smoking Joe. Joe just doesn't know it.
Yeah. Joe is not the president.
He is not. For sure. You heard that guaranteed probably right here on Market Vitals. Yeah. Breaking news. Hold on. Do I got a breaking news? Hold on. Let me see if I got a breaking news and I can do it proper.
But it's interesting. I find that
breaking news. Obama has been calling the shots the whole time. Breaking.
Hey, let's talk a little bit because we haven't talked about it. They're California Northern Cal was telling the residents near the Tesla plant, because there was a fire,
Shelter in place.
to shelter in place. And let's talk about that a little bit, because the stock doesn't even care. The stock doesn't care.
Well, I mean, lithium batteries, when they burn, I've seen a few videos of just lithium, like a fine filament dropped in water. Holy shit. Which makes like me thinking like a lithium battery powered boat might not be a great idea. I'm just saying. I don't know. But yeah, Thomas Sowell, the great educator and an illuminator. I mean, he talks very interestingly about there's no right and wrong, there's only trade-offs. And particularly coming from a black guy and a force of, I'd say, opposite of the liberal thought process. So yeah, the EVs, everybody wants a smog-free environment, but it's not like it's just, there are trade-offs. Have you seen some of the strip mining in the Philippines to get to the lithium or get to the nickel to make these batteries? There's for sure trade-offs. I mean, and by the way, that's one of them. If a battery plant catches on fire, look the fuck out. Could be a massive problem.
Right.
I think they got it under control. I don't even know how you put it out.
Hey, this is kind of cool. Mark put this in the he said Live Nation owns the Setlist FM also. And here's the show from last night. There was people there that already posted every song. I love it, because it's interesting info. Like, they played for 2 hours and 45 minutes. They averaged 2.9. So they loved Ben. Wow.
They did. And by the way, he said it. He was very appreciative of the crowd. We basically sang a song for him, right?
Yeah.
We got the clapping going. It was like a good old hootenanny out there.
But opening with my favorite song just kicked it off right for me. Handshake Drugs. I mean, just opening with that. And then finally getting to Jesus, etc. 15th song. And then he still had 8 more after that. I mean, look at that. Impossible Germany was a killer. That was a killer performance by the musicians. That was unbelievable. That version of that was great. And the Billy Bragg California Stars, of course, he had to do that for all the top 40 fans that only know that song. Because there's probably 80% of the crowd is that. They came just for that song. And you and I came for a lot more. Via Chicago was a great one too.
It was. Yeah. The whole thing, man. They striped it. If you are on the fence about going to see Wilco, please get off of it and go see it. What a great show, man. Top to bottom. Yeah.
And they were just up in Canada too. So they came down from there. Or no, they're going there. They're going up to Canada now. So
well, that you don't got to be jabbed. They're obviously all jabbed because.
Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, if you're going to the Queen Elizabeth Theater tonight, first of all, I guess you need to genuflect when you walk in, because it's the Queen Elizabeth Theater and that's still going on.
Right on.
But I got a feeling that they're going to be tired and they're not going to play as long. I would skip this show and do the Southern Alberta Jubilee, based on the fact that they played almost 3 hours and then had to leave at midnight. Like, they're just about getting to Vancouver right now on a bus. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. No, they're probably there.
But you know what I mean. That's a long.
Depends on how many. If their drugs got confiscated at the border.
True.
Is that the end of the tour? There, we saw the tail end of the tour.
I think so. It looks like those are the last couple shows, and they had just come up from San Diego. See, look, San Diego. They had another one.
I got to tell you. Working, that is putting in some work.
I mean, and they were in Santa Fe just 5 days ago. Holy smokes. And they were at Red Rocks just 1 week ago. I would look, they played 2 hours at Red Rock. They started at 7. They did not start at 7:30. This is wrong. It was 7 o'clock. Anyways. Great show. Go see him.
Oh, right on. All right, thank you for the info. Tour ends 10/7 somewhere from Lee. Wilco, go see him, baby. Please visit us at marketvitals.io. Please join our community of ethical, responsible bullshitters around trading. I think that's a good tagline, Matt. I had an opportunity to scream "Go Bears" there, and I should have see yeah, I'm a Lions fan too now. I need to go to hypnosis to get it through in my head that I'm a Lions fan now. It's over. It's over for the Bears. All right.
Well,
That's all
I think it'll just take another week or two when they have 3 losses and they have still 1 win that you'll finally go, okay, it's over. Got it.
Yeah, the Eagles look damn good, man. I don't know what to think of this. That's all I got. The Bills are going to win the.
Yeah, the Eagles look good, and they shouldn't have beat. And the Eagles shouldn't have beat the Lions if Goff wasn't in his first exhibition game against the Eagles, but he threw that pick 6. Otherwise,
Dolphins, you cannot argue with 6 TD passes. Like that's
yeah, and Bob and I were also talking. Lee put together for us the all NFL Alabama team because literally you can field one of the best NFL teams with just Alabama players for the last 5 years. Seriously,
probably every position.
Every position you can put a
I bet you they don't have a long snapper in the league. That's my guess.
We might have to take a guy from Alabama State for that because he was just that dumb.
The Alabama all-team thing fades when you don't have a long snapper.
There's probably a kid from Auburn that will throw in because he's still from Alabama. Yeah.
Just as long as Joe Namath is the QB.
No,
we're not talking all time.
No. We're not talking all. We're talking current. Yeah. We're not talking
right now in the league. Can we field a full NFL offense and defense with just guys from Alabama? I got to imagine for sure.
Yeah,
they have a position.
A starting team. Yeah,
they have a position player at every position in the league. That's our question. You guys mull it over. All right. Please share, retweet the broadcast far and wide. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Wilco. Jeff Tweedy.
Thank you, Jeff Tweedy, for a fantastic show. And
ridiculous, unbelievably awesome show.
Yeah.
Ciao.